Do you know what it means to have a toilet? He asked me. He was the man that I just met. I was perplexed. I had no idea what to say. And he said, freedom. I looked at this man again, more intently, trying to understand what he had just said. Maybe it was the fire in his poignant eyes or the experience on his wizened face, but I knew he was on to something. Something unusual and powerful. This man was Dr. Jockin Arputham, and I'd gone with him to the Bharati slums in Mumbai, where he had been working now for about 40 years. I had gone there on a simple research project in economics to understand the efficiency of operation and maintenance of public toilets. While conducting my interviews, talking to various public toilet users and owners and caretakers, I heard such compelling stories and saw such dire sights that I wanted to scream to somebody to make them understand the pleas of these people. Girls and women were being molested on the way to a public toilet. Men were counting the number of times a woman was walking to the toilet holding pails of water in her hands. We had girls and women taking pills to constipate themselves just because they didn't want to have to go to the toilet at just any point in the time of the day. Women were made to feel trapped in their own bodies. This was activist energy building up in me. But these women, they changed my life. They're so powerful and bold. Strong women who took their problems with stride. They had seen their children die. They felt their husbands abused. They heard their children cry from just not being able to go to school. They lived a life on the streets, on pavements, on railway tracks, next to water pipelines, next to gutters. Their children meant everything for them. Then came their husbands, then the rest of the family, then the house, and then if she had any mind space left, then maybe herself, her own aspirations, her own health, which was often deprioritized. In a typical Indian family today, a girl is brought up to think that the family that she grows up with is not the family she belongs to. She belongs to the family she will be married off into. She grows up watching her mother and her older sister clean up after her drunk father, cook the dishes, sweep the floor. She too starts to think that when I grow up, I will have to do the same thing. I will have to nurture the income earner of the house who is the man. In reality though, in many of the urban slums, in many of those households, women are the only ones working. Men are not working. They are drunk, they are at home. And because of necessity, when there are so many mouths to feed and children at home, women need to step up. They start to work only for the money, but what they get in return is something that they don't anticipate. It's the confidence, the independence, and the freedom that they get that they don't anticipate. Now imagine tens and thousands and millions of such women coming together, standing on their own 2 feet, being financially stable, but at the same time, they're gaining that sense of confidence and independence and freedom of being able to work. That is what the Mahila Milan self-help group looked like when I first started working with them in 2011 with Dr. Jockin Arputham and his team. These women were fireballs. They were powerhouses. They had struggles, but they were standing on their own 2 feet, taking their community by charge. That's when I realized the potential of getting all of these women together. The first research project on toilets led to another, looking at community-based organizations and women running and maintaining their own toilets, to then the rural sanitation setup, trying to understand how there was a lack of demand for toilets overall, until it had been about 4 years of me working on toilets. But why this topic? Why toilets? It took me a couple of years to really fully understand what Dr. Jockin Arputham had meant with toilets being a pathway to freedom. What he meant was that toilets could be used to employ and empower women. Toilets could start conversations around topics that were so taboo in the house that it would break the ice to start talking about other topics, such as menstrual hygiene, and sanitation, and domestic violence, and sexual violence, and assault, and family planning, and so on. Topics that women currently were not speaking about. Talking about personal hygiene makes one vulnerable. That's when I realized that we had to use these taboo topics to start more and more such conversations to get more and more confident women standing on their own two feet and keeping the world by charge. In the urban slums, we have this massive problem of menstrual hygiene, which is not just restricted to urban slums, but it's also an area that we know very little about. Overall, nationally, we see more than 320 million Indian girls still today, even after all of this hype around menstrual hygiene, who still don't have access to basic menstrual hygiene products. We need to change these women's behavior. It's not the product, it's their behavior. Once they start using something like a napkin, they would most likely also start using something like a toilet, and most likely start to adhere to medications, most likely start to take their health more seriously. It's not the product, it's the behavior. But to change that behavior, it requires immense amounts of courage and exposure. But if you've grown up in a society and in a household where the generations ahead of you have been doing certain types of norms and they're completely embedding this in you, then what you need to do is the same thing. You start to think that this is the only way to live your life. To use old rags and cloths, to hide your periods, hush up about them, don't talk about them even privately. You shouldn't cook your food, you shouldn't sleep with other people in the house, you shouldn't play sports, you shouldn't go to the temple because you're dirty, you're weak, you're impure during those few days that you have your periods. Then you start to think that that's true, that you're really impure. And further on top of that, if you live under an aluminium roof, where your horizon is the lining of the slum settlement, you start to see only and only limitations ahead of you. I've been working now with these women for about 7-8 years, and what I've realized through all of my research and work that I've done on health and sanitation is that the biggest fundamental problem here is that women just lack the ability to make decisions. They lack the agency. And all we need to do is provide them with a choice set, expanding their choice set to be able to make decisions for themselves. So, in 2015, a group of community leaders and I, those who I first met in 2011, founded an organization called the Mena Mahila Foundation. Mena, after the chatty bird, Mena, that speaks a lot because we wanted women to talk about the issues such as their Mahina, like the chatty Mena bird. We wanted them to have a broader choice set so they could take flight like the Mena bird. We started in 2015 with this mission, and we particularly focused on menstrual hygiene because we realized that sanitary napkins, whether good or bad, they start conversations at the doorstep. We've had many a times, we work majority in Muslim communities where we find that men and women both are stopping us at the doorstep and not letting us talk about this at all because they feel like we're polluting their minds. But we go again and again and again and again because again, it's not the product, it's the behavior, and that requires exposure and time and courage. This incredible team, we've been working together now, reaching more than 10,000 women at the doorstep every month, and we're just trying to expand this number more and more to 25,000 at the end of this year every month. This team of 50 women now that we've employed stand by each other. They're all members of the local slum communities that have faced harassment, have fought back men who have tried to harass them for their own amusement, and also brought back girls to life when they wanted to commit suicide. We started off as a small project, went on to become a foundation, and now we're impacting thousands of women. But this is still only just the beginning, and there's a long, long way to go. I've been fortunate to have met the Queen. We've attended the royal wedding with some of the slum members working in the MENA Foundation, and we've been at the Forbes Summit standing here with you today, but it really all started with one small step. A genuine want to help these women change their behavior. And sometimes that's enough to change their world.